The last Georgian roundhouse in the northwest may not last much longer. This is a building with a distinguished past, but an uncertain future. Under its rafters, religious congregations worshipped.
Players and musicians entertained. Politicians railed against the social evils of the day. The 1842 Chartist Convention was held here.
Today, there's very little left of the original living accommodation where the building's founder, James Schofield, lived with his family.
Schofield was a man of many parts. He was a minister of religion and a campaigner for political reform. He ran a doctor's surgery in the house, leading the fight against cholera in Ancoats. That struggle ended for Schofield in 1855, when he and the last of his children were carried off by the disease.
Behind this brickwork stands the stone that marks their burial on this site, besides the bodies of many thousands of others, most of whom were buried in mass graves at the height of the epidemic. Only one inscription gives any clue to the past of this unpretentious building. Christ Church, 1823.
The roundhouse was built as a chapel for the Bible Christians, a congregation inspired by the writings of the Swedish theologian Swedenborg. Towards the end of the last century, it became a center for the Salvation Army. And in 1902, the buildings were sold to the Manchester University settlement as a base for their social work. The roundhouse then became the focus of community service in Ancoats. But by the mid-1920s, the building was in sad need of repair, and there was no money. The warden at that time, Hilda Cashmore, organized a successful appeal raising over £12,000, and in 1928, extensive renovations were carried out, including the provisions of a stage. Through the dark days of the 1930s, the roundhouse brought hope and comfort to the people of Ancoats.
Billy Lee and Annie Kirkman of nearby Sudbury Avenue had a deep commitment to the activities of the settlement and have many memories of its place in the community.
Everybody knew the roundhouse.
Everybody.
And you see, where these bungalows are here, right the way from the bottom of the street to the top, were all small houses. There were streets off, there was where in that area there was a row of houses there, and there'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 streets in that one area, and them were all small houses that all had children, and they all came to the settlement. And that was the focal point of everything, the roundhouse. You thought it was wonderful.
It was your life.
Because you could go there and you could learn to sew, and you'd games and everything. And during the summer, they ran a holiday school from every street to Didsbury.
Wasn't it everything? Starting from play centres, and then my mother sewing class.
We went right through, didn't we? Then we finished up with the old girls. And then we started...
the poor man's lawyer started
yes.
there. The Citizens Advice Bureau. All those were all, it was first started from there.
And there was always somebody doing plays.
And pantomime.
They did the Petrified Forest. I remember them doing that.
And St John.
Yeah.
And Friday night concerts they used to have.
Tuesday night at home.
At home, yes. And on a Saturday they used to run dances, and there was sixpence.
Early in 1974, the Manchester City Council took possession, and the settlement was coaxed out by the offer of alternative premises. There was also talk of compulsory purchase in furtherance of an inner ring road scheme. But within weeks of the council taking over, vandalism had begun to take its toll.
The first week there wasn't a window in it. They smashed every window. I broke my heart crying. It upset me that much. And somebody's taken the floor. And that was a beautiful floor, a sprung floor, a maple. Really lovely maple wood. You can't buy it now, can you?
There's nothing really on the walls, you know.
So there's only the outside wall. And that must be terrible now.
Really, it's dangerous. It's dangerous if children got in and all, you know.
They have bricked it up now. But they bricked it up after it's all been pulled down and everything's been taken out of it.
What do you think should happen to it now?
Well, they either pull it down or they start rebuilding it. They spend money on it.
There's three places I know in Ancoats: Roundhouse, Arbithards and Star Hall. And they should be preserved. They should.
Well, what I think would be better if it was taken down. And there's a tombstone in the front that's bricked up. And that's Dr. Schofield's stone with his name and his children, his family on it. That should be put somewhere. Or even a little garden made with that in it to show what went on.
They've seen it being knocked about, so to all people, then it's, you know, it's just totally neglected, isn't it? Yeah. That is it. But to us, you know, I'd like it to be there, because I know the Roundhouse, and that is it.
Many attempts have been made to bring the Roundhouse back into use. The reasons for their failure include problems with local government financing, planning permission, various difficulties with private schemes, even uncertainty as to the ownership of the site. And the public inquiry in March 1985 served only to catalogue the demise through neglect of this unique listed building. While the surrounding area, once flattened, continues to be redeveloped with new dwellings, the fate of the Roundhouse still hangs in the balance. In March 1986, the Greater Manchester Council will be disbanded, and responsibility for the Roundhouse will revert to the authority that originally took possession of it 12 years ago, the Manchester City Council. Without a swift commitment to action, the Roundhouse will fall into such disrepair as to be virtually beyond renovation. There's very little time left now. Here were buried James Schofield, his wife Charlotte, their sons James, George, Marcus and John, and their daughter Amelia. Their epitaph, a single verse expressing the fatalism of a simple faith. Heaven's mercy, prompt with watchful eye, doth all our sorrows number. And when the hour to hear them comes, that mercy will not slumber. The passing of the Schofield family was not the passing of the Roundhouse. Shortly before the renovation of 1928, Baroness Stocks wrote, "Inside Christ Church, all the unseemly litter, the peeling of plaster, the patches and the puddles of intruding Manchester weather, all this dishevelment plus a sour smell was insufficient to obscure something that was held within the rotundity of Christ Church." Almost a glum epitaph, yet the end proved to be very far from close at hand. If only that were the case now.